All right. So good afternoon. My name is Shannon Taylor. I am the project manager at DSLBD, also known as the Department of Small and Local Business Development within the Innovation and Equitable Development Division. Today, if you are on the line, I am so excited to be hosting this session with our friends and partners over at the Office of Tax and Revenue. And for today's session, I'm going to pass it over to them, but they are going to jump right in for our information session on the Certificate of Clean Hands. So as I mentioned, this session is being recorded. Throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop any questions that you might have into the chat. We have built in some time at the end of this session for Q&A. So I encourage everyone, if questions you have now, please drop those in. And as they come out throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop those in the chat so that our members of the OTR team are able to answer those questions live on the line today. And so with that, I will not take up any more time. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Miss Amy Fields, who is the Supervisory Revenue Officer with OTR's Collection Division. Miss Fields, it's all yours.
Thank you so very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for attending this session. I am hoping this session will be very informative to each of you. I am Amy Fields. I am one of the managers that handles the Clean Hands process. On the line with us, I have Specialist Aisha Kearney, who will be assisting with your questions in the chat and at the end of this presentation. So we will get started. Ms. Francis, next slide, please. All right. How to obtain a certificate of clean hands. Obtaining a certificate of clean hands is as easy as 1, 2, 3. You must first either log in or create a MyTax.dc.gov account. There is a non-login option available for non-DC filers. I do apologize. Click Request a Certificate of Clean Hands to confirm or complete required information for registered taxpayers, and unregistered taxpayers will be directed to a new web page to create a web request for a Certificate of Clean Hands. If the taxpayer is in compliance, a Certificate of Clean Hands will generate instantaneously. Next slide, please, Ms. Francis. All righty. Requirements for individuals. If you are a district resident, you must self-certify through the MyTax web portal at www.mytax.dc.gov. You will need the following to apply: access to the online web portal. Your address must be validated through USPS, and no outstanding returns or balances that exceed $100. Next slide, please. If you are not a resident of the district, you must apply for a Certificate of Clean Hands as a non-district resident via www.mytax.dc.gov, and you will need the following to apply: a valid state ID issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles, a valid SSN or I-10 number. The address on your application must match your state issued ID, a valid email address, and your address must also be validated through USPS. If you are new to the district and have moved on or after January 1, 2021, you must apply for a Certificate of Clean Hands as a non-district resident via the MyTax portal. You will need the following to apply: a valid updated state ID or current state ID, and a change of address card issued by the DMV, a valid email address, and again, your address must be validated through USPS. In the event that you are not a U.S. citizen, you must still apply for the Certificate of Clean Hands as a non-district resident at MyTax.dc.gov. You will need the following to apply: a valid I-10, which can be obtained directly from the IRS's website, and I give that web address there. You must use a valid DC address that is verified by USPS, and a valid passport or photo ID to substantiate the individual on the ID matches that listed on the I-10. An individual identification number, I-10, is a tax processing number issued directly by the IRS. If the taxpayer is a non-U.S. resident, they must file for an I-10 number with the IRS. Applicants will need either an SSN or an I-10 to register for taxes in DC and in turn receive a certificate of clean hands. Our system will not allow an application to go through without either one of these. I will move on to requirements for businesses. If you are trying to obtain a certificate of clean hands for your business, you will need the following to apply: access to the online web portal, no outstanding returns or balances that exceed $100, and your address must be validated through USPS. We will now speak on how to request a certificate of clean hands. Before you can request a certificate, you must register through MyTax.dc.gov web portal if you are a DC taxpayer, individual, or business. All businesses, even those located outside of DC, must be registered through the MyTax web portal in order to generate a certificate of clean hands. If you are a new district resident after January 1, 2021, you can request a clean hands as a non-resident through the MyTax.dc.gov web portal. You will be required to upload your state-issued identification card from motor vehicles. If you are registered in the MyTax.dc.gov web portal, you can log in and request the certificate. The result of the inquiry is instant. If you are in compliance, a certificate will generate instantly, which can be printed or saved to distribute electronically. If denied, you will receive an email with information regarding next steps to bring your account into compliance to be eligible to obtain a certificate. If a notice of non-compliance is generated, please contact the agency at the contact number listed directly on the bottom of that notice. There is an outstanding obligation with that agency that will need to be resolved. Requests may take up to 10 business days for completion. So again, if you are applying for a certificate of clean hands on the web portal and you generate a notice of non-compliance, that notice will have an agency listed on it. It will either be the Office of Tax and Revenue or maybe the Department of Employment Services. And there will be a phone number to reach out to that agency directly, and they will provide next steps on how to obtain a certificate. Next slide, please. Setting up a payment arrangement with the Office of Tax and Revenue's Compliance Administration. Payment arrangements can be set up online directly on the web portal, or you can call the Collection Division at 202-724-5045 for assistance with creating a payment arrangement. Payment arrangement due dates will either be the 1st or the 15th of each month, with terms available up to 48 months. The first payment must post to the account before a certificate of clean hands will be issued. If an account is on a current payment agreement and there are no delinquent returns, an override will be submitted for the taxpayer. Please note currently that overrides for printing and/or validation currently expire in 7 days. After that time, another override request will need to be requested. That can be done by having the taxpayer send the request directly to the Clean Hands mailbox, which is cleanhands, one word, .cert@dc.gov. There is a 5-year look-back period performed when reviewing an account for compliance. All delinquent returns must post to the account before a certificate of clean hands will be issued. In addition, all accounts of the taxpayer must be in compliance before a certificate of clean hands will be issued. We have some business owners that have more than one location of a business. All of those locations must be in compliance, and all businesses related to that owner must be in compliance before a certificate will be issued. Next slide, please. Setting up a payment arrangement with the Compliance Administration. It continues, please. If a taxpayer has submitted an extension request timely, but has not sent in a payment or the appropriate amount with the extension request, the clean hands will be denied as that return is now delinquent. Businesses operating in DC are required to be registered for and file the personal property return unless they have been provided an exemption status from our audit unit. All delinquent returns must post to the account before a taxpayer can become clean hands eligible. And all payments must post to the account before a taxpayer can become clean hands eligible as well. Next slide, please. You may contact us for clean hands inquiries. Inquiries can be emailed directly to our Clean Hands mailbox. And again, that address is cleanhands, one word, .cert@dc.gov. If you have a question regarding the compliance status of your account, please contact the Collection and Enforcement Call Center at area code 202-724-5045 for immediate assistance. You may visit our page on the MyTax portal, and there is the link. There is a section on clean hands, how to apply. It gives you all the information pretty much that we are covering in this presentation. It's also, most of it is available in the MyTax portal. And there is also a Clean Hands FAQ section on the MyTax portal as well. So if you click on either one of these links, it will take you to those appropriate web pages. Our e-services unit is available for all technical assistance with utilizing the MyTax portal. Their direct phone number is area code 202-759-1946. So again, they help with all matters relating to navigating on the MyTax portal. If you have an account and you forgot your password or you're locked out, they will be able to assist you. If you need help navigating to a certain area on the portal, trying to obtain the certificate of clean hands, e-services will be your contact. They also can be reached via email at e-services.otr@dc.gov. And if you are logged into your MyTax account, you also have the ability to send a web message to e-services directly from the web portal. I will now open it up. Our specialist, Aisha Kearney, will assist with any questions that you may have from the presentation. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Certificate of Clean Hands?
Aisha, there are. So let me go ahead and grab them, and I'm happy to read them off to you. So one question that just came through is, what is the difference between the Clean Hands certification being issued directly from an officer and the Clean Hands certificate? I'm not sure specifically what that ask is. So if the individual that dropped it in the chat could clarify specifically what you're asking. I'm thinking if there's a difference between the owner or a self-certification. So I know with DCRA, sometimes they do self-certification for Clean Hands. What is the difference in those two documents?
So DCRA has a certificate of good standing that is different from the Office of Tax and Revenue certificate of clean hands. They're two different documents. Now, a business can receive a certificate of clean hands, and the business owner or individual can receive a certificate of clean hands.
Okay, thank you. Another question, how long does the processing take for a FR 500? I was advised that I needed to update my FR 500 in order to get a clean hand certificate.
Hi, this is Nicole Moore from the E-Services Department. So generally, when you complete the FR 500 and submit it, it takes 3 to 5 business days at most for processing, sometimes sooner.
Perfect. Thank you for that. How long does the certificate last? How long is the certificate valid for once a business requests a clean hand certificate?
For a business, the certificate of clean hands is valid as long as the business is in compliance with our office and the Department of Employment Services. So the notice number will not expire. You can use the same number continuously. It does not expire until you are not in compliance with our office or Department of Employment Services. If you are an individual, a non-DC resident, those certificate of clean hands are valid for 90 days.
Okay. Thank you. Another question just came in. I am a Main Street manager, and one of my non-English speaking businesses cannot get clean hands. I have been having a hard time determining why, since I am not the owner, but the owner does not speak English very well. Is there any way we can find out why she continues to be in non-compliance, or at least who should she contact to navigate that?
So the owner can call our collections call center. We will provide the number. Actually, it's on the screen, 202-724-5045. And the representative can get an interpreter on the line. And we can communicate that to the owner. Or the owner can add a power of attorney or an officer to the account via MyTax, and we can speak to that individual.
Yes, and so follow up to that, there is interpretation services across district government for many different languages. And so the representative should be able to access an interpreter for not only Spanish, but several other languages as well. So to answer that. Can we just keep going through with questions? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, what are some of the compliance issues with the Department of Employment Services that might prevent a business from obtaining a clean hand certificate?
They have paid family leave. They also have unemployment tax. But when you are not in compliance with DOES, you will have to contact that agency directly. The Office of Tax and Revenue will not be able to see why you are not in compliance.
So if a business opened in December and April of 2001, the owner must register as a non-DC resident.
Say that again?
If a business opened April of 2021, how should that business register? Does that owner need to register as, the question asks, does that owner need to register as a non-DC resident?
If it's a business, they would need to register the business as a business. The non-DC residents, that's if you are a single taxpayer trying to get a clean hands as an individual, not for the business.
Just see here, I have some other questions came through. And let me know if this is relevant now or we want to address this later. Could you explain the unincorporated franchise tax and cost?
If you gross 12,000 or less, there will not be a balance with your return. If you gross more than 12,000, the balance due can range from $250 and up.
Those are all the questions that I see so far in the chat. So if you guys would like to continue with the presentation, feel free, and I'll just continue to monitor if any additional questions come in.
Okay.
Oh, one just came in, so sorry. Why would a resident need a certificate of clean hands if they are not a business owner?
An individual may need a certificate of clean hands if they hold a liquor license for ABRA. If they are trying to get a grant, some people may need it because of their job. So it just all depends on who is or what agency is requesting you to get the certificate of clean hands. And I think DMV also requested that as well.
So that's all I see. You guys can go
Ms. Taylor, I think that does bring us to the end of the presentation.
ahead. Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure. Thank you, Shanae, for identifying that. So we did finish a little bit early here, and I'm sure that there are definitely folks still on the line. So I encourage you guys, while you have these subject matter experts on the line, please ensure that you are dropping in or asking your questions. I'm also happy to unmute anyone if they would like to ask their question directly, if that is easier. I don't see that we have any call-in users, but if there is anyone on the line that would like to ask their question out directly, please feel free and I can allow you to unmute yourself to do so. If not, please drop them in the chat. This is super informative. I know that we work closely with so many small businesses that have so many issues or questions as it pertains to the Clean Hands certificate, how to obtain, what is a payment plan, how do they get around that, specifically those that are looking to apply for grants. And so we want to make sure that you guys are able to get your questions answered. So another question just came into the chat. Are there times of year when you get the most clean hands requests, i.e. it takes longer to get your clean hands updated when you submit updated documents?
It's busy all year round. There is no downtime.
And typically with that, when going into the MyTax portal, individuals as well as businesses should be able to obtain their clean hand certificate on the spot, right?
Correct. If you are
That's correct.
compliant,
It's
you will be able to.
instantaneous.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So I think I heard you say it's instantaneous as long as you are in compliance. So it isn't a wait period. Now, when a business or an individual is not in compliance, on average, how long would it take for that to be updated or corrected in order to access a compliant clean hand certificate? If there is an average, it might just be a case-by-case basis.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I was just saying, if a business or individual is not in compliance, is there an average or typically what is the turnaround time for that business in order to work through a process to receive a compliant clean hand certificate?
That would differ on a case-by-case scenario, and it all depends on what returns are missing and what returns can be submitted through MyTax.
Got it.
So you can look for, it can be anywhere between 24 hours to up to 6 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Yes, so the presentation will be shared as well as this recording to all registered participants once we conclude today. Another question that came in, fact or fiction, that's cool. A new business has 2 years before they will be denied a clean hands for non-filing of a return. Is that fact or fiction?
Fiction. So when you register your business, depending on what tax types you are registered for, your returns may be due the next month. I'm not sure where 2 years came into play.
Perfect. So that's a good, I have a follow-up question to that one, Aisha, then. Can you share with us or kind of give us a general breakdown of typically how often a business or individual should be doing their filings with OTR?
That all depends on what tax type you are registered for and what the filing frequency is. I strongly encourage you or anyone to talk to their CPA or accountant. Your business franchise for tax returns, your D30s or your D20s, those are due annually. They are due when your individual returns are due. This year, they are due April 18th. I strongly encourage you to start getting those returns in now. Your sales and use returns, we have filing frequencies for monthly, quarterly, and annually. Personal property tax returns, which is common if you have a location in the district, those are due every July and they are due 1 year in advance. Your withholdings can be due monthly or they can be due quarterly. So it just all depends on which tax type you are registered for.
Got it. Okay. And so that kind of also falls into another question that we received as well around standard times. How often, we often recommend checking at least every 90 days. Would OTR have a recommendation of how often a business should be logging into the portal and checking their clean hands status?
I recommend checking it at least every 30 days. And again, that will all depends on your filing frequency. So if you have returns that you know that you're set up monthly for sales and use, you can check your account monthly. If you're filing, your filing frequency is quarterly, make sure you check every 90 days just to make sure that you're up to date on returns. There's no payments outstanding, no balances outstanding. You can check your account daily if you like. I strongly encourage everyone to get set up for MyTax. If you haven't already done so, create a username and password so that you can monitor your account.
Perfect. And I would assume that one could log into their portal, their MyTax account to verify when their required filings are due.
Correct.
Okay. How long does the notice of business tax registration last?
The notice of business tax registration does not have an expiration. However, if you close out all of your registered tax types via the MyTax portal, that will prompt you to complete another registration. So again, the registration doesn't expire unless you close out your tax accounts.
And I know, Aisha, you mentioned that there was a tax that is due on April 18th. Can you tell us again what tax filing that is? What type of tax?
Sure, for businesses, your D30, which is your unincorporated business franchise tax return, is due. Or if you file corporation tax, which is your D20, that is due April 18th. And of course, your individual return is also due by April 18th. It needs to be received by April
In
18th.
the system by April 18th. Okay.
Correct.
How do you know if you have anything that you owe?
You can always call our collection call center at 202-724-5045. One of our representatives can go and do a compliance check for you. And you can also monitor your account on MyTax.
Are payment arrangements available for individuals who owe money for the unincorporated franchise tax?
Yes. And if you can still get a clean hands if you are on a payment plan. Once you get your payment plan established and you make your first payment and that payment post to your account, you will be eligible for a certificate of clean hands.
Once you register your business, how long do you need to wait to request the Clean Hands certificate?
Once the FR 500 is processed by our office and approved, you can request a certificate of clean hands the same day. If it's a new business.
Um, okay, so one question came in, I'm assuming this is, how do you check 1099s were received by OTR that may not have been received by the corporation? I don't know that. I'm assuming, is there a way to verify that 1099s have been received by OTR?
This is Nicole
But they
from
haven't been
eServices
received by
again.
the
So
corporation?
if they
Mhm.
completed the 1099s via the MyTax portal, it will show as processed. They can also reach us by way of phone at the 202-759-1946 just to confirm that the 1099s have been uploaded successfully via MyTax.
Can we file for a filing extension in DC as we can for federal income tax reporting?
Yes, you can do an extension to file. Please keep in mind that a payment is due when you file your extension. The extension to file is just that, the extension to file. It is not an extension to pay.
Got it.
And the extensions can be filed electronically via MyTax.
Okay. Let me see if anything else has come through here. Let me just see. I think we talked about the FR 500. I do have a question. If a business, let's say an individual has a business, they're, incorporated, they're registered with you all, but they close their business and fail to notify OTR directly that they are no longer conducting business. What are the ramifications to that individual if they fail to do that step?
This is Shanae Francis from the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate. One thing that we would like to mention, in the event that a business is closed, depending on the tax types that the company is registered for, so say for example, if they're registered for sales and use taxes and they don't notify the agency that they have closed their business, what that can do is that will continue to populate the idea that returns are still due. And in the event that they were to request a clean hand certificate, they would be denied ultimately because there would appear that there's a tax delinquency. So we do always encourage taxpayers, if they are closing out their business, that they are going to close their business both with the Office of the Tax and Revenue and also with the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Let me just check the chat one more time. Yep, so some new questions came in. If you have your individual taxes and business taxes prepared together, can I still get the clean hands certificate?
Yes, you can still get the certificate of clean hands as long as everything is received timely. Can you go into a little bit more detail about your question?
Okay, so we'll see. The individual that asked that question, if you can go into a little more detail, that would be helpful. We'll move to the next question while we wait for that to come in the chat. I'm an existing business that has already registered my FR 500 in years prior, but when I went to get my clean hands, there was no record of my FR 500. Was there a step or something that was missed that the business needed to do?
This is Shanae Francis again. So one thing that could potentially exist here is that they registered their business with the Office of Tax and Revenue prior to our system converting to our modernized integrated tax system. So if the person in the chat could just let us know what year they previously registered their business, that would help inform our answer more. But generally, if you register your business and you've registered your business since at least 2016, your registration should be in the system. So we always want to encourage you to ensure that you are double checking your FEIN number to make sure that the numbers are keyed correctly when you're doing your registration so that they match with what we already have in the system for your company. And if you have
Okay, and they
questions,
did,
oh no, go on, sorry.
no. They did drop in 2016 was the year.
Okay, so it could have been a switch over from when we changed in tax systems, but if they do have any questions about their specific account, they can always call um, our customer service administration, and that number unfortunately is not listed here, but I will put it in the chat, and so they can
Okay.
get some additional information.
Perfect, thank you. When registering your business, how do you determine your filing status, such as unincorporated franchise tax or personal property, etc.?
Say that question again.
When registering your business, how do you determine your filing status, such as unincorporated franchise or personal property, etc.?
I'll let someone from e-services or customer service answer that question.
Hi, this
So
is
when you're
Karen Proctor from
completing,
e-services. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Nicole. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, Karen, you can go.
Sorry. So I'm guessing that the question is, what accounts do you need to open, or how do you know what accounts you need to have? I'm guessing that's the question. When you're opening, like for a personal property has to be a location in the district. So that's how you know you need a personal property account. For your franchises account, that depends on how your company is corporated or incorporated. So then you will figure out whether or not you need a corporation or unincorporated account franchise. I hope that answers the question.
And Karen, may
And
I
so,
add as well, when you're completing the FR 500 application, there's a series of questions on the account registration page, and next to each question, there's an example icon. You can click on that icon to determine if the business structure will align to you based on the type of tax you're attempting to register. Hope that helps.
perfect. That's super helpful, Nicole. That was going to be my follow-up to that question. And if someone, let's say they did that on the My Tax portal, they were a little unsure, they didn't want to submit something incorrectly, at which number or email should they be reaching out to speak with someone one-on-one that potentially could help them with that?
They can contact us in e-services at the 202-759-159946. And let's say that registration is processed before they're able to speak with a representative. Their next step would be to sign up for MyTax once they receive that notice of business tax registration, and they can close out the accounts that they opened, in error.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thank you for that, Nicole.
no problem.
Someone wanted to speak with someone directly to find out exactly how much they owe for the unincorporated franchise tax. Would that be the 202-724-5045 number?
Correct.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I was able to get a clean hands for me personally, but not my business, with reason being I had never submitted an FR 500, which opened its own can of worms. Okay, so this was a follow-up to the individual that said they registered their business previously, but they could not find that record in the FR 500. So I'm assuming they were able to get it for themselves, but not for the business. So I think there was just some other things going on there. I am a new business and my tax preparer prepared my taxes together, and I just wasn't sure if they needed to be filed individually or if filing them together would cause a problem with getting a clean hand certificate.
If your tax preparer included your business income on your D40 and it exceeded 12,000, then you would need to file a D30. If you gross less than 12,000, then it is okay that he prepared that on your D40. It kind of sounds like that's what he or she did. Then in that case, then that will be fine. But please keep in mind that there are other business tax returns that you may be liable for if your business is in the district.
All right. And I think that those are all the questions that I see in the chat. And so if you guys wouldn't mind, if you can just run down again for us, if someone has inquiries regarding their clean hands, who should they be reaching out to, what number, what email, same for e-services unit, and we can go ahead and move to wrap up.
Sure. All clean hands inquiries can be emailed directly to cleanhands.cert@dc.gov. If you have questions regarding the compliance status of your account, please contact the Collections and Enforcement Call Center directly at 202-724-5045 for immediate assistance. The direct telephone number for e-services is area code 202-759-1946, and their email address is e-services.otr@dc.gov.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We did have two more quick questions and we will, so individual businesses must file their own D30. Is that correct?
Say that again.
Individual businesses must file their own D30.
Yes, if they gross more than 12K.
Does a personal clean hands work for the CBE process? I don't know that that would be something that you all would be able to address. I would assume the clean hands
Yes.
need to be in the name of the business.
Yes, that all depends. With the CBE process, some of them need it as an individual, but if you're a business, it would need to be in a business name for CBE.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. And so what we will do, we'll gather all of the questions that were dropped in the chat and asked throughout this session today, and look to prepare just some frequently asked question responses. In addition to this slide, and the recording will also be shared with every registered participant. I just want to take a moment and say thank you to the team over at OTR within the Clean Hands Division, as well as the e-services unit, for collaborating with DSLBD and hosting this session. We get so many questions, so them being able to address those questions is honestly invaluable. So thank you so much to the team over at OTR. I will go ahead and move to end the recording as well as end this session. Thank you all for attending today, and please be on the lookout for that email as well as the contact information that was shared throughout this chat will also be sent over to everyone at the conclusion of this. And with that, I say thank you. Hope everyone stays warm and have a great afternoon.
You're very welcome, and thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
everyone.
Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, guys.